A week ago, one of my viewers, Mr. Kumquatsus, he requested that I review Spider-Man Team Up 101, and I still didn't know why. But I did it, and I didn't stop there. I have spent an entire week reviewing all these DeMatteis comics, most of them fill-in issues on random books. They all sort of gang together to tell this complete picture. This is Defenders 102, and as you'll see, stuff from all those various issues starts to trickle through into Defenders here. Guns without saying, this is DeMatteis, and the issue focuses on Batman, the Matthew Broderick version. And right now we have Doctor Strange's girlfriend, Rachel McAdams. She is doing some magic stuff to try and work out what is going on with Batman's body. For the last 10 or so issues, he has been stricken with bouts of full body paralysis. It's weird though. The setup is that during the day, he cannot move his body at all, and he is stuck in a wheelie chair with a nurse who is eventually revealed to be a robot who is spying on him. But then during the night, he is fine, he can move around freely. Rachel McAdams, she confirms, as Doctor Strange did several issues ago, that this affliction is mystical in nature. And I want you to make note of that. It is mystical in nature. Two characters incredibly experienced and knowledgeable on mystical things have confirmed that Batman's mobility problems are definitely mystical in nature. This is a Batman issue, but we get a two-panel bit with Etrigan the Demon looking at himself in the mirror and being all sad and that. Great stuff. Not for him, but it's good reading. Now, Matthew Broderick is gone into the loony bin to visit his ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Grey, who, as we saw in Spider-Man Team Up, and as we have recapped here, Matthew Broderick used to date Jennifer Grey, but then Matthew Broderick did a bit of drunk driving when she was in the car with him, and he crashed and he thought that he had killed Jennifer Grey. But what really happened was his rich dad paid the now crippled Jennifer Grey to disappear so that the family could avoid a scandal. Jennifer Grey then became bitter and evil and blamed Matthew Broderick for everything from Inspector Gadget to Godzilla. And after their unhappy reunion in Spider-Man Team Up, Batman took Jennifer Grey to get professional help, which is this mental hospital, and under their care, Jennifer Grey is all over the place with her emotions and feelings for Matthew Broderick. We have some brilliant stuff here that almost redeems the team-up issue for making Jennifer Grey into a cackling, revenge wanton baddie. And then she eventually lashes out violently and says that she wants to kill Matthew Broderick. And Rachel McAdams makes an appearance so that Batman can explain to her and the readers how he suspects something dodgy is going on with the care home. So, under the cover of night, Matthew Broderick is able to move again, and he dons his Batman costume and guns to break into the institution and find out what is going on. And he is greeted by a bunch of orderlies with machine guns. I have heard of Obamacare, but this is Trump care. Am I right? Not really. He didn't introduce his own Affordable Care Act. But we do get to see Batman do some fighting for the first time in a few issues, which is a welcome sight. And then we start getting our story. Batman, he discovers that this mental hospital is a front for the CIA. Sadly, I have already ruined who is really funding and backing this, and it isn't the CIA, but for the purposes of this issue, it is the CIA. I think we can say that it's a splinter faction of the CIA who are in bed with the secret umpire, or a rogue cell that has the backing of the CIA, but the CIA didn't really know what's going on with them or who they are really working with. It is kinda essential that there be some CIA presence for this story's ending. The mental hospital, it is trying to develop psychic warfare and create weapons out of its patients. Jennifer Grey is hooked up to a big psychic machine thing here, and it is just like in Captain America 264. In fact, yes, it is exactly like that. We have the same sort of machines, and the two surviving psychics from that issue, they are meant to be here somewhere. And now we learn that Jennifer Grey has developed her own psi powers, and the CIA / secret umpire, they want to use her and the others as a big psychic weapon. Batman is outraged at the American government for betraying these mental patients and using them as test subjects. And it's here that we learn Batman's parallelism. Is that a word? It sounds like a word. If it's not, it is now. We learn that his ailment was caused by the manifestation of Jennifer Grey's powers. She was angry about them when they surfaced. She was thinking about them, and it was her and her psychic powers that caused Batman's body to shut down. That's not mystical at all, is it? It also doesn't explain why it doesn't affect them at night, or why in the past issues they were all convinced that it was due to a mystical soul bond. And now Jennifer Grey, she attacks Batman with her psychic energy, and we have a splash page of her torturing him, which is fine, but maybe two very similar ones is a bit much. After being lacerated with projected resentment, her mood shifts again, and there is the happier memories she has of her time with him. And Jennifer Grey's psychic outburst has destroyed the lab and all the equipment. And Batman, he wants to stop this from ever happening again, but he is told that this is just a small setback, and the CIA will re-establish this project elsewhere, and they will continue their objective, and that there is nothing that he can do to stop it. So Batman, he goes to the press and exposes them, only to find that when the newspaper comes the next day, that the CIA have buried the story and bought off the papers. A sickly, bittersweet ending about corruption. After looking at some wonky filling issues, I enjoyed this a lot. There's still a few problems, but as a whole, it's good reading. It is also Batman's swan song. This is really the last time we get to see him do summit or be in character before his death in the crossover between this book and Captain America's. I will do that crossover in a week or two. I'm not going down a huge rabbit hole of doing exclusively Jim DeMatteis Defender stories. This one is getting a 7 thumbs up, and it had that good bit with Etrigan too.